Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 627 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin's expression was serious. He was hiding inside the head, so no one had noticed him. However, if the head was cut open by the Celestial Emperor, he would be noticed by the others. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he became focused. The Celestial Emperor pulled the 100-foot Celestial Ancestor head up. When it floated before him, he suddenly looked up and revealed a decisive gaze. His left hand rose up and his palm turned into a blade. Golden light shined and the veins on his face swelled. The blood in his body seemed to boil and gather inside his left hand. He cut down at the head and, after a loud rumble, crack appeared on the Celestial Ancestor's head. Endless golden light came from the crack, and the Celestial Emperor's face was filled with pain. His body rapidly aged. At this moment, Dao Yi, Wu Feng, and Zhu Di looked over. Only Haizi had a complicated expression as she looked at the head. It was unknown what she was thinking. However, just as the Celestial Emperor revealed a painful expression, Zhu Di suddenly let out a roar. He charged forward at an extremely fast speed. Shortly after, Dao Yi and Wu Feng's expressions changed and they followed. When the Celestial Emperor's right hand fell on the head, cracks appeared on it, but just at that moment, his hand had gone from a blade to a palm. He no longer cut open the head but instead pushed down. He didn't choose to compromise and instead completely cut the head open, pushing his Celestial Ancestor bloodline into the head. You all underestimated my guts. What is there to fear about death? If I have to live like a dog, what's the point of being a Grand Empyrean? Better to fight for a chance. The Celestial Emperor laughed as the three Grand Empyreans closed in. The head absorbed the strength of the bloodline and then its eyes suddenly opened. Its mouth also opened, and golden smoke came out from its orifices. When the golden smoke spread out, the Celestial Emperor opened his mouth and began to inhale it like crazy. If the Celestial Emperor absorbed all this golden smoke, he could inherit the Celestial Ancestor's cultivation. He could even reverse the damage caused by the ancestral curse from cutting the head. His cut had not only caused a crack to appear on the head, it also broke open Haizi's seal. Although a crack had appeared on the head, now the Celestial Emperor could absorb the inheritance by force again. In the distance, Imperial teacher Haizi's face immediately turned pale and blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. Dao Yi's eyes were filled with viciousness as he raised his right hand and a palm landed on the Celestial Emperor's body. At the same time, Wu Feng also attacked. He threw a punch. As Zhu Di closed in, White Wolf appeared around him and attempted to devour the Celestial Emperor. Just as their spells appeared, the Celestial Emperor raised his head. Golden blood flowed out of his eyes and orifices. The blow rapidly changed color to bright red. This was the sign of his bloodline dissipating. Those eyes covered in blood revealed madness. Not good. Zhu Di's expression changed and he was about to stop his attack, but he was too late. The Celestial Emperor hadn't absorbed the golden smoke at all. Everything he'd done before looked real, but it was all fake. The golden smoke he had absorbed all spread out. The Celestial Emperor let out a hysterical laugh and his body visibly expanded. He had chosen to blow himself up. This was outside of everyone's expectations. Zhu Di thought that they hadn't pushed the Celestial Emperor to the point of self-destruction. The self-destruction of a Grand Empyrean, although it was only his body, could shake the world. Even if he were to possess another body, he would no longer be a Grand Empyrean. This self-destruction echoed toward the Forbidden Palace and destroyed it in a flash. This force spread out to the collapsed sky above and instantly disintegrated all the pillars in the palace above. When the underground palace dissipated, this place that existed in an overlapping space with the Imperial Palace formed a connection. This collapsing force erupted out onto the square of the Imperial Palace. The earth of the palace was scattered in all directions as everything collapsed. The entire palace that had existed for countless years in the ancestral city was completely destroyed as if a hand had swept by. The beautiful palaces and all the cultivators inside them disappeared without a trace. The shocking explosion shook the entire ancestral city and caused it to tremble in fear. Just as this destructive force closed in on the celestial ancestor statue in the imperial palace, the statue suddenly released blinding, golden light. The light and the impact collided to create a thunderous rumble. This rumble became even more intense until it became a heavenly roar that echoed across the central continent. At the source of this explosion, where the Celestial Emperor had exploded his body and his grand empyrean power, a large amount of flesh flew toward Dao Yi, Wu Feng, and Zhu Di. The Celestial Emperor's self-destruction could collapse the palace but was not enough to destroy the three of them. This was especially true when the three of them worked together and their power increased several-fold. However, because they had attacked, their faces immediately turned pale and became filled with fear. This was because the power of their spells had fused with the flesh and blood of the Celestial Emperor, causing their auras to fuse with his exploded flesh and blood. Due to their counter-attack, they weren't affected as much, but the thing that was most affected was the Celestial Ancestor's head. The Celestial Ancestor's head should not be so fragile, but when the Celestial Emperor's palm had descended, it had caused golden smoke to come out and also cracks to appear on the head. As a result, the destructive force of the Celestial Emperor's self-destruction and Zhu Di and company's counter-attack hit the Celestial Ancestor's head. This caused the head to rumble and crack open. As the crack spread, it was equal to all four of them violating the ancestral curse at the same time. Dao Yi had the weakest cultivation, and he immediately let out a miserable scream. Large amounts of black gas surrounded him and his beautiful face rapidly decayed. Wu Feng let out a muffled groan as his body was surrounded by black gas and began to decay. Zhu Di had the highest cultivation level, and the ancestral curse was split among the four of them. He was able to resist the curse with his powerful cultivation. Strange runes appeared on his body, making for a shocking sight. The Celestial Emperor had only exploded his flesh, so his soul still remained. As the skull cracked open, his soul was rapidly dissipating and he rushed toward the head. He was heading to the left eye, where Lian Daofei was. I'm the Celestial Emperor, I have wisdom beyond that of others, how could I not have a backup prepared? Daofei is my backup. I'll take control of his body and use it to help me share the burden of the ancestral curse. He has also inherited some of the Celestial Ancestor's cultivation, so I can still turn this around. The Celestial Emperor's soul was burning, and while the other three were dealing with the ancestral curse, he rushed toward the left eye of the cracked head. However, just as his soul neared the left eye and he was about to rush into Lian Daofei's body, a shocking change occurred. There was a flash of golden light from the Celestial Ancestor's right eye and Wang Lin walked out. He had waited a long time for this critical moment. He was like a hunter who had waited until this moment to begin the hunt. Wang Lin wasn't affected by the ancestral curse at all. At this moment, Dao Yi let out a tragic cry, Wu Feng retreated, and Zhu Di was resisting the curse. Wang Lin charged directly into the left eye. When Gemini saw Wang Lin, she immediately revealed a joyous expression. There was also Empyrean Exalt High Z. There were ripples in her eyes and a flash of excitement passed by. Wang Lin moved extremely fast and entered the left eye in a flash. It was the moment when the Celestial Emperor, who was surrounded by the ancestral curse and whose soul was burning, was about to enter Lian Daofei. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. There was no hesitation as he waved his hand at the Celestial Emperor. Although the Celestial Emperor was a Grand Empyrean, his body had exploded and his soul was damaged from the ancestral curse, so he was very weak. After seeing Wang Lin, he let out a scream that could pierce one's soul. You, the Celestial Emperor screamed, filled with endless fear. He had accounted for everything, even at the last moment, he had gone all out like a true ruler, but he could not have expected Wang Lin to be alive. It wasn't only him, Zhu Di, Dao Yi, and Wu Feng didn't expect Wang Lin to still be alive either. With a wave of his sleeve, the Celestial Emperor's soul let out a scream, but instead of retreating, he rushed toward Lian Daofei. However, he stood no chance as he was pulled into Wang Lin's storage space. The extremely weak Celestial Emperor, along with the ancestral curse, was no longer a threat to Wang Lin. Just as Wang Lin put away the Celestial Emperor's soul, the Celestial Ancestor's head trembled. The crack from before was too large, and now it cracked open even more. Wang Lin grabbed the unconscious Lian Daofei and walked out from the left eye. He stood in this collapsed world and stepped on top of the celestial ancestor's head. His head full of white hair rapidly turned black at this moment. Black hair, black robe, black eyes. This thing, this person, Wang Lin, will take them. Wang Lin's appearance, his clean actions, and his words caused everyone to become silent. Grand Empyrean Zhu D's expression was gloomy. He felt tearing and burning pain inside his body, but he suppressed it with his powerful cultivation. He stared at Wang Lin and killing intent appeared in his eyes. He had calculated everything, but he hadn't expected the Celestial Emperor to give up his Grand Empyrean body and choose to self-destruct. This didn't match his understanding of the Celestial Emperor. Even so, it was fine. Although the Celestial Emperor had exploded, the head had been opened. The ancestral curse was scattered between them, so it wasn't fatal. They also had no reason to fight each other, so they wouldn't make the curse worse. They would take what they needed and would then return to their caves to go into closed-door cultivation to slowly remove the curse. However, what had caused Zhu Di to miscalculate again was that Wang Lin was still alive. Not only had he not died, it looks like his cultivation level had increased, and now he had taken the initiative. Now that they were affected by the ancestral curse, they were in a passive position. Not far away, Grand Empyrean Wu Feng's face rapidly aged and his eyes dimmed. His body trembled and he looked at Wang Lin with a complicated gaze. As for Grand Empyrean Dao Yi, he was covered by black gas and was filled with pain as he endured the ancestral curse that was trying to melt his body. Now that Wang Lin had appeared, he felt anger along with the pain. This anger came from an ant daring to bare its fangs against a lion. Arrogant, causing death. Dao Yi let out a howl. He had the weakest cultivation among the Grand Empyreans and now he was under the ancestral curse, so he didn't have much time to think. Even if Wang Lin was number one among Ascendant Empyreans, he was still an ant. As he spoke, Dao Yi turned the pain he felt into killing intent and rushed toward Wang Lin. As he closed in, he raised his right hand and black gas gathered around it. It was a shocking sight. One palm fell and the world seemed to stop as if everything had fused into one and descended on Wang Lin. The black-haired Wang Lin suddenly looked up, and his gaze was filled with indifference. As the palm descended, he put the madman down and waved. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the black slaughter thunder formed a net before Wang Lin. The moment the net appeared, Wang Lin's black hair moved without any wind. An aura of slaughter and destruction spread out from his body. At this moment, Wang Lin was the spirit of slaughter and destruction. When slaughter appeared, it was the beginning of the end. This net had black thunder arcing across it and contained a destructive slaughter force. It immediately collided with Dao Yi's palm. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the thunder net collapsed. Wang Lin's body trembled and split into countless strands of black gas. He recondensed in an instant and his eyes were still as cold and indifferent. Slaughter could not be destroyed. Although Dao Yi was a Grand Empyrean, he was currently being affected by the ancestral curse and therefore could only use about 50% of his power. He also had to face Wang Lin's slaughter thunder, which caused him to tremble and retreat a few steps. His eyes were filled with disbelief, and he immediately felt the strange aura coming from the thunder net. This aura began raging inside his body, and he could not expel it. This was also the first time Dao Yi had been knocked back by a non-Grand Empyrean after he became a Grand Empyrean. He had almost forgotten this feeling, and when it washed over him, he felt disbelief. This slaughter aura also caused the ancestral curse inside his body to become more violent. Pieces of rotten flesh fell from his face. The power of the ancestral curse became even more intense. You. As Dao Yi spoke, his words became a hiss from the intense pain. If it was an Ascendant Empyrean, they would have already perished from this pain. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and slowly said, Dao Yi, if you still want to fight, I don't mind watching the ancestral curse become even more serious and seeing if you fall or not. Dao Yi stared at Wang Lin but didn't speak. For the first time, he felt a sense of fear even he himself could not believe. Even more pieces of rotting flesh fell from his face. He no longer looked as beautiful as he did in the past. Zhu Di's expression was gloomy as his gaze fell on Wang Lin. Wang Lin, this old man admits that I have underestimated you again. You hid until now and appeared at this moment to take the initiative. Even this old man admires you. However, if you think you can use the fact that we have to deal with the ancestral curse to take away the celestial ancestor's head, it's impossible. Wang Lin, you are a smart person. This old man really doesn't want to act, as it would make the ancestral curse worse, but don't force me. Hand over the head and this old man will let you leave here safely. We will take an oath to not hurt you in the future and even help you become a Grand Empyrean. If you are still greedy, then this will be your grave. Zhu Di said calmly as he looked at Wang Lin. Even Gemini is extremely weak now, so she is not this old man's match. In addition, there is also Wu Feng and Dao Yi. Although neither of them can display their full power and have to deal with the ancestral curse, they can still delay Gemini a bit. Besides, the Dao Wang clan's imperial teacher Hai Zi is here too. Wang Lin, don't seek death. What's more, any of the Grand Empyreans can burn some Grand Empyrean power to crush you. Wang Lin's expression was calm as his gaze swept past everyone. At the same time, Grand Empyrean Gemini moved and arrived next to Wang Lin. Her face immediately turned pale and purple light covered her body. Her body seemed to melt and turned back into the two little girls. The two little girls' faces were deathly pale and they looked very weak. It seemed fusing into one required them to pay a great price. Wang Lin didn't hesitate. The moment they appeared beside him, he raised his right foot and stomped on the celestial ancestor's head. The head trembled and two eyes covered in golden light were knocked out from the head. The celestial ancestor's head contained the ancestral curse, but this curse had been broken by the celestial emperor and company. Back when Wang Lin collected the celestial emperor's soul, he became aware of this and was not worried about the curse. The celestial ancestor's eyes used to be one, and after they flew out, the two little girls immediately grabbed them. Since this item is useful to Grand Empyrean Gemini, then please accept it. Thank you for your help. As Wang Lin spoke, Zhu Di's expression changed. He let out a roar and rushed toward Wang Lin. Dao Yi's eyes were blood red as he rushed forward while covered in black gas. Wu Feng, Hai Zi attack at once. Zhu Di felt extremely aggrieved. He was a Grand Empyrean who had lived for far too long, but now he had to summon others for help. This was a rare humiliation for him. This child can't be allowed to live. Zhu Di was filled with killing intent. As he closed in, Grand Empyrean Gemini, who had turned back into two little girls, each held an eye. Although their faces were pale, their gazes were decisive. Their bodies trembled as they fused back into the real Gemini and rushed toward Zhu Di and Dao Yi. Thunderous rumbles echoed. In the distance, Wu Feng hesitated. Empyrean Exalt Hai Zi bit her lower lip as she was clearly struggling. As Grand Empyrean Gemini was resisting Zhu Di and Dao Yi, Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His right hand created two rays of black light that cut off the celestial ancestor's two ears. Golden blood splattered as the pair of ears shined bright and flew toward Wu Feng. Grand Empyrean Wu Feng, this is what you need. I won't send you off. Grand Empyrean Wu Feng raised his right hand and caught them. He silently put the ears away and took a few steps back. He had no need to participate, especially with the curse on him. He didn't want to act, and he needed to return to his cave to get rid of the curse. While retreating, Wu Feng remained silent and only gave Wang Lin a profound look. He turned around and disappeared. When Zhu Di, who was being blocked by Gemini, saw this, the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. He clenched his teeth and let out a roar. White light erupted from his body and formed a white sun behind him. The white wolf roared and its head penetrated Zhu Di's body, flying toward Gemini. Dao Yi, Hai Zi, steal the head. Zhu Di erupted his full power at the risk of the ancestral curse to fight against Gemini. In a flash, Dao Yi flew over Gemini and a sun also appeared behind him. He was also going all out at the expense of the curse worsening. But he was the weakest among the Grand Empyreans and the ancestral curse on his body was extremely serious. At this moment, the sun was dim, as if it could dissipate at any time. He still could not use much of his power. It was enough to kill an ascendant Empyrean, but killing the black-haired Wang Lin in a short period of time was not possible. He would still need Hai Zi's help. If Hai Zi assisted him with her Dao Wang clan spells, they would have a chance to win. Wang Lin's expression was calm and the celestial ancestors had retreated with him. He raised his head and spoke to the struggling Hai Zi. I don't know if I should call you Empyrean Exalt Hai Zi or Imperial Teacher Hai Zi. Your Dao Wang clan used me to release the seal. Even if you join forces with Zhu Di, at most I give up the head, but it is impossible for me to die here. As a result, even if you participate, you won't gain anything and it won't do your Dao Wang clan any good. If you don't participate, then I can write off everything that has happened. As if it had never happened. Hai Zi silently pondered and let out a sigh. She didn't attack and closed her eyes. Zhu Di gritted his teeth due to Hai Zi's decision, and his expression became even more gloomy. However, he didn't try to persuade her. He began fighting against Gemini. The thunderous rumbles from their battle spread in all directions. More thunderous rumbles echoed as Dao Yi closed in on Wang Lin. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He was going to kill Wang Lin and use Wang Lin's fresh blood to wash away his shame. Wang Lin's expression was as cold as always. When Dao Yi arrived, a rare trace of battle intent appeared in his eyes. This battle intent had not appeared within him in a long time. This was from his comprehension of the battle intent essence he had obtained in the cave world. This was the peak of cultivators like us never shrink from a fight. Dao Yi. Wang Lin stood on the celestial ancestor's head and let out a roar at the sky. His black hair moved without any wind and he raised his right hand. A golden sword fragment appeared in his hand. This was the fragment of the celestial ancestor's sword that Zhu Di had given him on the long street. At that time, Zhu Di could have never imagined that Wang Lin would have survived the Dao Wang clan's plan. If he knew, he would have never given Wang Lin this fragment. After fusing this fragment into his body, the black-haired Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. He stepped forward and hit his chest with his right hand. 5-element true body, get out. 3 ethereal essences, get out. Restriction, absolute beginning, get out. With one wave, aside from slaughter, thunder, and absolute end, all of his essences left the body. Now the black-haired Wang Lin was like the incarnation of slaughter and destruction as he charged at Dao Yi. The two of them began a thunderous slaughter in the sky. Dao Yi let out a roar. Borrowing the power of his son, everything in the world integrated into one. Each attack and movement contained the power of his faith spell, and he collided with Wang Lin. The black-haired Wang Lin collapsed again and again but looked immortal. Damn it, after this Wang Lin takes on this black-haired form, he is so difficult to deal with. Dao Yi endured the pain of the ancestral curse and continued to attack, but he was forced back by the black-haired Wang Lin again and again. This caused the ancestral curse in his body to worsen. As thunderous rumbles echoed, the black-haired Wang Lin's body collapsed once more into countless strands of black gas. They seemed to contain life and rushed toward Dao Yi. The black gas gathered before Dao Yi. A finger stretched out from the black gas, reaching toward Dao Yi. Dao Yi suddenly turned around, and his face was almost a complete skull now. Flesh and blood fell off as bloody water oozed out from his body. He threw a punch and the entire world seemed to stop moving, including the black gas. When his punch landed, Wang Lin's finger collapsed and the black gas was knocked back. The black gas reformed into Wang Lin's body 100 feet away. But Dao Yi retreated 3 steps. The slaughter aura, which was already difficult to get rid of, seemed to have fused with the ancestral curse. This made him let out a painful howl at the sky. The black-haired Wang Lin's eyes were cold and he rushed out once more. At the same time, the 5-element true body that he had forced out completed the last essence, the metal essence, after integrating the sword fragment. Although the completion of the metal essence hadn't formed an essence true body, it allowed the 5-element true body to become complete. As the power cycled, the 5 elements perfectly fused into one. Wang Lin's 5-element true body erupted with shocking power and looked up at Dao Yi. As he stepped forward, The 5 elements surrounded him. The 5 colors around his body were like a 5-colored cape. The black represented earth. The yellow represented metal. The green represented wood. The blue represented water. The red represented fire. The 5-element true body closed in and raised his right hand, causing the 5 elements to move. The black earth turned into a vast land. This land was an illusion, but it was filled with shocking earth essence. Thunderous rumbles echoed. It seemed like the earth had awakened and turned into an earth giant. It threw a punch at Dao Yi. There was also metal. After it appeared, it shined brightly and turned into countless swords. Each of the swords was only an illusion, but they were filled with endless metal essence. They turned into a rain of swords that fell on Dao Yi. The wood essence turned into a 1,000-foot-tall tree in the sky and smashed toward Dao Yi. This giant tree looked like it could break the world apart. Water and fire turned into waves of fire and water that swept toward Dao Yi. At the same time, the black-haired Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He stepped forward and his body exploded into countless black thunderbolts that rushed toward Dao Yi. This was his strongest attack when the slaughter original body and the 5-element true body joined forces. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the world and Dao Yi let out a miserable scream. His clothes were broken and blood was flowing out from the gaps on his face. The blurry sun behind him suddenly collapsed. The collapse of the sun created a powerful impact and caused the incoming wood to disintegrate and the earthman to shatter. The sea of water and fire was pushed back and the countless metal swords collapsed. The 5 elements scattered and reformed into Wang Lin's 5-element true body. It also caused the black-haired Wang Lin's countless thunderbolts to explode. Black gas appeared and retreated to reform the black-haired Wang Lin's body. Dao Yi let out a miserable scream. The only things left on his face were his eyes. However, his eyes were like ghostly fire and were now filled with fear. He feared not only Wang Lin, but also the ancestral curse that had completely erupted. He could clearly feel the ancestral curse was beginning to burn his soul. If he continued to fight instead of immediately leaving to adjust himself, he was likely to fall. This sovereign is unwilling to let this be. Dao Yi let out a roar and rushed into the sky to leave. He no longer dared to fight, he felt the shadow of death shrouding over him. Restriction essence seal, the sky. Absolute beginning essence, sundered night. Life and death, karma, true and false, cover the world, the black-haired Wang Lin and Wang Lin's 5-element true body said at the same time. Just as Dao Yi was about to leave, the destroyed sky above him suddenly flashed and a rune appeared. This was Wang Lin's restriction essence's sealing power. After the restriction essence, a bright sun appeared. It released a dazzling light and fused with the restriction essence, creating the scene of the light sealing the world. Shortly after, the 3 ethereal essences suddenly appeared and formed a fog that surrounded the seal. This fog contained Wang Lin's Dao, and it spread across the sky. It contained a powerful sealing force. You want to leave? The black-haired Wang Lin and his 5-element true body charged at Dao Yi. In the distance, Zhu Di revealed a look of shock. As his attack collided with Gemini, he treated and was about to charge toward Wang Lin. Gemini's face was pale, but she clenched her teeth and blocked him once more. Zhu Di let out an angry roar. Gemini, that's enough. The Celestial Emperor is already dead. Are you going to allow Dao Yi to be destroyed by the ancestral curse as well? Gemini stopped. After all, she belonged to the Celestial clan. Dao Yi's body also began to decay. Right now, he looked extremely terrifying. Pain and madness filled his eyes and an invisible flame appeared around his body. He let out a roar and punched at the sky. The world rumbled and the seal created by the restriction, absolute beginning, and the 3 ethereal essences collapsed. Dao Yi, who had burned his own body to borrow power, immediately rushed out. Seeing Dao Yi about to escape, the eyes of the black-haired Wang Lin and his 5-element true body lit up at the same time. You can escape, but the Dao Yi sect can't escape. These words came from black-haired Wang Lin, and they were filled with slaughter and destruction. How can you fight whenever you want to fight and leave whenever you want to leave? These were the words of the five-element true body. Dao Yi's eyes were filled with madness. He didn't hesitate to burn his body in order to leave and go into closed-door cultivation. What sect, what celestial clan? None of that mattered now. He rushed forward and his body became a blur. At the same time, Zhu Di charged forward while Gemini paused. He looked like he was going to stop Wang Lin's pursuit but was actually filled with killing intent. The black-haired Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he didn't hesitate at all. As Dao Yi escaped and Zhu Di closed in, his body turned into countless strands of black gas and flew toward the five-element true body. They fused into a blurry figure. Restriction essence, return. Absolute beginning, return. Life and death, karma, true and false, return. Five-element true body, condense, slaughter thunder essence true body, condense, ethereal essences, condense. The blurry figure rapidly changed to form Wang Lin's body. His hair was not completely black and not completely white, but half black and half white. As he looked up, an aura that made Zhu Di's pupils shrink erupted from Wang Lin's body. This was his strongest form aside from his avatar in the void. This was his peak form after he absorbed some of the celestial ancestors' inheritance and fused his slaughter and five-element true bodies together. Behind him, a large, strange black and white outline of a sun appeared. This sun was fuzzy and was a mere outline, but it caused the hearts of Hai Zi, Zhu Di, Gemini, and the escaping Dao Yi to tremble. This is not formed by a spell, this is the son of the Grand Empyrean. This is impossible. He never went to the immemorial God realm, how could he have a Grand Empyrean son? Although it's blurry, but it is indeed the outline of a Grand Empyrean son. He actually used his own power to condense a Grand Empyrean son by force. This video will end here.